are we telling streaming services that they are too much money? How is that happening? Dollars spent for entertainment available to me?
Good morning from Road Dog Travel. This is just a typical Monday morning, Monday afternoon, whatever you want to call it. It's my day off, normal work, so I handle all my business throughout the day on Monday.
Even with inflation now, it sucks. But even with inflation,
Heading to the post office now to pick up a delivery.
but in 2023, it went
And I gotta go to the grocery store.
Everybody's gonna hear that and go, oh my god, Netflix, greedy CEOs, blah, 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 blah.
Laundry day, I'll probably do some
$4.5 billion.
video work.
Why? Because we're all lying. Because we all want to go home, put our feet up, and just watch stuff. What makes streaming services too expensive is that you need 7 of them to be able to let you and your kids watch everything you want to watch. Any one particular streaming service, they're an absolute freaking steal. And the only reason we don't think they're a steal is because of the actual theft. Amazon Fire Sticks, jailbroken this, this. And that stuff annoys me. It does, because those same people who were stealing everything go online and be like, Hollywood, pay your actors a livable wage. It's you that is supposed to be paying the actor the livable wage. Do we not understand that? And so, like, it bothers me, is probably too far, but it is kind of annoying. We saw what happened during COVID. Remember, we were all going to learn how to do stuff. You don't know how to speak another language. You didn't learn the guitar or the harmonica or whatever the hell it is you were going to try. You were going to read all of Oprah's best books, but you didn't. You laid around, you watched Netflix the same way I did. Imagine thinking they're going to think of themselves as less valuable now when they saw what the viewing rates were. Are you kidding me? $23 a month is too much money for 7,000 movies at your fingertips? Damn, are we spoiled, man.
Back to the Stansberry Show. 1069.
Big dog over there.
I forgot to pass out those Sun 41s.
Saint Bernard.
That's on me. I've been really working on trying to do a better job of that, I swear to God. So I'll get them passed out here if I remember.
Cold, cloudy, and gray here in Ohio.
Right in front of me, and I'm going to think I already did it. But I'll do it, I swear. All right. So something happened yesterday that I said I didn't think was going to happen. So, of course, everybody's like, look how wrong Stansbury is. And you're right. I was wrong about this one. Jim Harbaugh. Hightailing it out of Michigan, leaving the Wolverines after winning a national championship. A lot of people feel like that one was marred some controversy, and I suppose it was. And he's now going to head back to the NFL, Jim Harbaugh, as he will take the head coaching job for the Los Angeles Chargers. Tough gig. The owners are notoriously cheap. Feels like one of those jobs nobody can ever seem to get it right. The Chargers job. Which can get you paid. You know, this isn't the only radio station I've ever worked at. You know, I've worked at a few others, and when they couldn't get them right, before long they would just like whip out like a huge pile of cash and be like, all right, go get them. And they would try that. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This last time around, when they did that, 15 years ago, this last time, they got it right. And they got it fixed. For the first time in like maybe my entire life, they got it fixed. But it cost them a lot of money to do that. So every now and again, you find yourself in a situation, no, we need a little bit of a savior here. You go and reach and get a guy. Jim Harbaugh to the Chargers. Now, people told me, and I would imagine even Ohio State fans who hate him would agree, that he was one of the better head coaching candidates that were out there. Right? I think we all kind of feel like that, right? The Chargers job somehow doesn't feel big enough. I know he played there. Okay. Great. Okay, I could understand that. Michigan was the alma mater. I understand wanting to go back there. Okay, I get it. But when you can write your ticket, the Chargers are what you're choosing, I was just kind of surprised by that. They feel off-brand to me. GoBot versus Transformer. I understand wanting to go back to the NFL. You knocked on the Super Bowl doorstep with Colin Kaepernick, a quarterback most people think isn't any good. Now, he was better then than he ended up being towards the end when all that drama went down. People forget I was literally in a San Francisco team store in the airport as that drama started to unfold because it happened when I was on vacation. And I went into the team store and I said to the guy, I need a Cap jersey. I'm going back home. I host shows. I need to talk about this. The guy laughed in my face and said, bro, we haven't stocked Cap jerseys in here in like a year. Like they had given him up. San Francisco gave up on that kid long before any of that drama unfolded. We don't got to necessarily relitigate that whole thing. But he knocked on the door with Kaepernick. Now you're watching your brother about to maybe go to another Super Bowl. Competitive family. You just won the national championship. Okay. Maybe get out of here. Fair? A lot of people are going to make it about some potential sanctions that are headed Michigan's way over some sign stealing drama. There probably will be. We saw this with Chip Kelly. We saw it with Pete Carroll. We've seen it with some other college coaches. Well, he turned up in that frying pan. Let's get to that NFL now, which I believe what Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines had been doing, I believe is legal in the NFL. A little bit more scouting ability. I believe that. I'm pretty sure that's what I read. Don't necessarily quote me on that one in case I'm wrong. I was a little shocked by this. I liked him. Now, saying you liked him at Michigan is tough because do I want to watch Ohio State win football games? Yes. I like the NFL way more than college, but if Ohio State's on, do I want them to win? Of course. And would I rather they beat Michigan? Sure. Absolutely. Now, I could be dead wrong on this as I'm not a diehard college football fan like a lot of you listening to me right now are. But if you beat Michigan next year, is it going to feel like much? Yes, you did it. Better than losing. Fair. I will meet you right there. But they're looking at like Sharon Moore, who's on staff there already, which, by the way, that did kind of feel like they were trying to push that, down the road a couple of months ago, even like he was all over the TV, he was all over everything, right? So it kind of felt like that. But if you beat them next year now, do you feel like, is that the same thing as beating Harbaugh's Michigan Wolverines? I don't think it is. I don't. He kind of checkmated Ryan Day here a little. I mean, he kind of did, right? Like there's a little bit, people had the question all year, not all year, but towards the end of the year, is Ryan Day really the guy to take this to the next level? Don't kid yourselves about whether or not that's true. As soon as people heard Vrabel was available, it's like, oh, Buckeye, former Buckeye, go get the buck. Bucknut, go get a bucknut. People were looking to throw Ryan Day overboard. I said, even during those conversations about a month and a half ago, I said, well, I can understand both sides. Because he mollywops most of the Big Ten. Problem with that is most of the Big Ten ain't very good, right? Most of them aren't. Most of the teams in the Big Ten aren't Michigan or Ohio State. Like they're not. So he beat everybody but the good team in the Big Ten. So when I watch people make that argument, it's like, okay, because changing out Ryan Day could be making perfect the enemy of good. Meaning you could try to get to that next level by switching out the coach, but you could also fall all the way back to the bottom of the pile too. Absolutely. Here's another interesting thing. You're Jim Harbaugh. This is this guy's ego and balls on this dude right now. He could have had any job in the NFL he wanted. I believe there are teams who would have fired their head coach if they thought they could get it. Not just the jobs that are open. I believe there are teams out there who are like, oh, dude, we're going to shoot this dude in the back of the head. Bring me that tall, khaki-wearing, milk-drinking SOB. Could have had any job he wanted. and he chose to face Andy Reid in the house. Kind of good, right? I like NFL games, man. I feel like those games just got that much bigger. By the way, Raiders, good luck. I know everybody liked that Pierce story, head coach there for Raiders, and maybe it works out great, and I hope it does. My second home, Las Vegas. I hope it works out great. But admit, Raider Nation, when you saw Harbaugh, that in Harbaugh news yesterday, you thought, oh my God, here we go all over again. Right? Of course you did. How are you not going to think that? You're not even sure you got your quarterback figured out there in Las Vegas. You're not sure you have it figured out. Be honest, you're not. Most people think Justin Herbert is good, has not reached his potential yet. Harbaugh gets credited, maybe too much so, with being a quarterback whisperer. It's like, well, his first couple of years at Michigan without JJ didn't really go all that well. So we'll see about the quarterback. But now he gets Herbert, and he's going into the mouth of the lion to face Mahomes and Andy Reid twice a year. Chose it. That's bonkers. That's a guy who believes wholeheartedly in his ability. Who believes, I'm the guy. I can get this turned around. And that's what those jobs require. They absolutely require some ego. And Jim Harbaugh clearly has more than enough of that. Some 41, they are coming. I believe this is I have this right? I believe this is September. Yes, it is. The 15th at Blossom. Tickets on sale at livenation.com. Free setup for grabs with me right now. Take caller 13 at 330-450-7625. Toll free at 800-243-7625 on those Sum 41 tickets. And ladies, are you starting to feel like a married single mom? We'll let you know what that is and how to change it next on the Stansbury Show.
He sucks on Instagram, too. Follow him anyway at Dan.Stansbury. The Stansbury Show on Rock 106.9.
Shout out to Joe Henderson. I believe Joe from Louisville won his way into Sum 41. Another set of those for you tomorrow. And I'm going to get you into Bush. That will be at 8:45 this morning. All right, so I have said a couple of times, I'm sure a few of you have heard me say this, that we love renaming things. We love pretending something's new, creating a name for it, and then denying. It's like, no, dude, we already knew about that, right? Part of the reason is because of all of the influencing that's happening all over socials, right? Of course. Everybody's got to give out their definitive opinion. I know it sounds hypocritical because that's what I do every day. But it is, you speak in broad generalities when you're doing that. And the problem is that everybody goes, nuh-uh, not my relationship, right? And it's like, well, okay, but you could probably broadly apply it to a, general size of population where it could be true, right? And people get really upset with that. Oh, man, can't do that. If there's one person who's not, you can't say this. And like, people have lost their minds. But we love renaming stuff. And I saw this yesterday, and it was married single mothers. And I was like, right? I'm not sure that's a thing. But then I read a little bit more about it. This coming from news.com.au, Australia. It is a news site that I have bookmarked. That is one of those things I look at every night when I'm prepping the show. It's like, all right, check that. There's usually some crazy stuff there. Let's check that. And I have, I don't know, probably about 50, 60 sites bookmarked that it's like, make sure you check all those when you're putting the rundown together. So I ran across this. And a woman had posted online, of course. And she apparently had COVID. And she had stayed in one section of the house away from the rest of the family. They were worried about infecting other members of the family. So she kind of like stayed off to the side on her own. So she starts to feel better, and she comes out of this. And she starts going through the rest of the house, and she's posting, and my guess is to get reaction, so some of this could have been faked, maybe if not all of it. And she starts talking about how she doesn't want to go into the kitchen because she hasn't been in the house for a week, and she's terrified to see what's going to be in the sink. And she says, the entire kitchen, she says, smells like vinegar, which means there's rotting food hiding somewhere. Ugh. I'm a little bit set that down, I'll put it away later guy. Kitchen smells coming from the sink is bad. Like that's kind of bad, right? So she was a little worried about this. So she posted, got a ton of views, and sure enough, women are coming to her defense and trashing her husband for being this lackadaisical while his wife was sick with COVID. He couldn't even lift a finger to help himself. And everybody started calling her a married single mother. So for those of you that have never heard the phrase, this is how they're describing it. It's women who do everything for their children at home as if they were single and did not have a partner to help. Despite recently growing in popularity, they say the phenomenon isn't new and it refers to the unequal division of tasks in heterosexual relationships. That's Melbourne psychologist Carly Dober explained. You gotta remember, they put people in re-education camps and stuff like that over here in Australia, so, you know, take with a grain of salt there. But this is true. I've seen it in my life. Now, it's different if we're talking about a stay-at-home parent. Notice how I avoided stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home wife there. Notice how I avoided that? I think it's different when you're talking about a stay-at-home parent or person. I've said this, that if I'm married and I'm working and you're not, and I come home to a house that's not cleaned, you're packing that day. Time to go because you don't respect me. You're getting over on the fact that we have created an environment where you don't have to go out in the world and earn, okay? Great. But if you're not going to work here, if you're not going to respect me and our children, then you're packing today. You know what? Take the kids with you too. No, kidding. Relax. Now, conversely, I have always said that if you're both working, and welcome to 2024, if you're both working, then division of labor, I think, is a better system. Otherwise, you are going to build resentment in your house. Here's what I think a lot of guys got to understand. Not that I have this figured out. We covered that a little bit yesterday, didn't we? Yeah, we did. If you missed that, pick up the podcast. That was not my finest moment. Anyway, that the division of labor gets tricky too.
and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Did you know 1 in 4 car batteries is weak and needs to be replaced? O'Reilly Auto Parts will test your battery for free. If your battery needs to be replaced, our professional parts people can help you find the right Super Start battery for your vehicle and budget. Don't wait. Get your battery tested for free today at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
At Mac Discount, this is the season of holiday returns,
Fahrenheit.
which means this is the biggest and best time of the year to shop return and overstock gifts from the nation's top online retailers for up to 80% off from Mac
Had a
Discount.
little bit of a
Daily
break
online
from the
offers are
cold.
happening right now, and bids
Couple
start
days,
at just
but it
$1.
rained all
It's
day
simple.
both
They ship it
days.
online, and if you win that item, you can pick it up at your local Mac Discount warehouse. So, what are you waiting for? Download the free app or visit Mac Discount online at mac.bid today.
This is Clay Travis. Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network.
Presented by Mercedes-Benz.
ESPN's reporting Ken Dorsey's agreed to become the Browns' next OC. Former Bills offensive coordinator replaces Alex Van Pelt, who spent the last 4 seasons in Cleveland. Cavaliers will tip off against the Clippers tonight at home. Cleveland coming off that big win over the Bucks, and they're second now in the Central. And the stage is set for Super Bowl 58 with the Chiefs taking on the Niners in Vegas. DraftKings line currently favors San Fran by 1. I'm Scott Davidson.
The superbly versatile all-electric EQB from Mercedes-Benz. It's impressively techy and surprisingly roomy, with available seating for up to 7. The vehicle is all-electric. The feeling is all Mercedes. Learn more at nbusa.com/EQB.
Get ready for the big game with the free iHeartRadio app, the official partner of the NFL Podcast Network, featuring the biggest names in the game, like Ross Tucker and his daily NFL podcast.
I am so looking forward to that game.
NFL Total Access.
That's another mini storyline to watch.
NFL Now.
This could be the dangerous tape.
And many more. The free iHeartRadio app in the NFL. Getting you the insight and behind-the-scenes stories you need for the big game. Just open the free iHeartRadio app and search NFL and listen now. iHeartRadio. Free never sounded so good.
Rock 106.9, Canton's Rock Station.
Having spit in it, I view that as fair. She once upon a time told me this, and this is one of the things that made me fall in love with her. I view this, and by the way, she works more hours per week than I do. But she told me this, and I love this. You are my man, and I view it as my job to take care of you. However, if you ever view it as my job to take care of you, that's the last day I'm doing any damn thing. And that felt like a fair trade. I get all this benefit, and all I got to do is not take advantage of it? All right, I like that. I like that. It's tricky when you start talking traditional gender roles in relationships, man. It's tough. Because a lot of people don't want to give in to their partner now because what do we all know? 51% of those marriages are heading for divorce. And at some point, you're worried about being on the other side of a divorce, thinking about all the things you did for that person when they didn't deserve it. So I feel like a lot of people are playing the protect myself game inside of those relationships. And I would imagine, not that I have any idea, but I would imagine that that is only slamming the gas pedal on heading towards that divorce. I want more of a partnership than I want a 50s housewife. Although I will say, I think society would be better if somebody were able to stay home. I do. I think we would be happier. I don't think it has to be the woman. I think in certain situations, especially these days, since women are starting to make a lot more money in this country, and if you think I'm kidding, go look at single women home ownership in this country versus single men. It's not even freaking close. Go look at women who enroll in college versus how many men are doing it. It's not even freaking close. Men have been absolutely lapped in this. They have. The data, the numbers, I don't care. Be mad. It's what the data tells us. Men are being lapped in these regards. I'm not even giving you an idea of whether I think that's good or bad. It's just the reality of that situation. But I'm looking for more of a partnership in my life. Also, I want a woman who's able to take care of me like that, as we just talked about. But I don't necessarily like relying on it either, because it takes that card out of their hand. When you're fighting, I do this, I do that, I do this, I do that. Oh, you do, really? Let's look over here at this. Because I did that, I did that, I did that, I did that, I did that last night for us, I did that, right? It kind of takes the card out of their hand. Plus, you don't die on the same day as your spouse. Most people don't. My mother has been alive 20 years now without my father. What are you going to do when your spouse dies if they were doing everything and you were doing nothing? So now all of a sudden you're sad, you're alone, and you have zero clue on how to take care of yourself at all. I never understood, again, even at stay-at-home relationships, I never understood why one person handled the money and the other person had no idea about it. Whoever's better at that, again, take care of it in the bulk, but learn how to do it, much like the cooking. Like, I've never understood that. Like, if your wife's a great cook and you're not in that kitchen, now, sometimes they'll hit you with the spoon. Get out of my kitchen, I'm trying to get out of here. They'll yell at you for not being in there. Then when you go in there, then they're yelling at you for being in there. Now, a lot of times I get yelled at for that because I'm not trying to help. I'm just trying to go in there and slap her on the ass a little bit, right? Your boy likes that. And so, like, sometimes, like, get out of here, I'm making this, right? And so that can kind of happen. But laying on the couch, waiting for the dinner bell to ring to get to the dinner table, and just sitting there in wonderment about how it happened, what that is to me is a lack of curiosity. And I don't understand that. I'm not knocking it, I just don't recognize, I have a hard time wrapping my head around it because of my job requires a ton of curiosity. How does that work? Why? How'd they come up with that? I need to know what did that. Who said that? Give me another source on that. Curiosity is baked into the position. And so I just kind of naturally curious. So I kind of want to know. Plus, if she's not able to be home because her work is demanding like mine, or if she, right? Then I kind of want to be able to know what I'm doing. Everybody running around talking about how independent they are. But in reality, we're not. We need the help of other people. That's why most people are married. Because the world is a ball of hate ready to mow you over, and you're looking for a teammate to help you out. Even if you're a traditionalist, like my wife should cook and clean, she should do this, she should take care of the kids and all this. Fine. And I told you about the stay-at-home parent thing. It's like, dude, if I come home and the house is dirty, get out because you don't respect me. But the flip side of this is true for this wife, too. If she's been laying in bed sick for 7 days and you're allowing your kitchen to smell like rotten food for you and your children, bro, you are showing not only her a lack of respect, but yourself a lack of respect. And that, I just don't think is okay.
We would have him drug tested, but why waste the money? The Stan Sperry Show on Rock 106.9.
9 a.m. this morning, let's rock the bank and get that first $1,000 keyword passed out. We had been having a conversation about married single moms. A woman in Australia had been sick for about a week with COVID. She was worried about coming out of the section of the house that she had roped herself off in because she knew her husband wasn't going to have done much with the house. Sure enough, the kitchen smelled like rotting food and, sink overloaded with dishes in the thing. And, all of, her social followers are calling her a married single mom. This is where the division of labor isn't, a division of labor at all. That a lot of married women feel like I'm doing all of this while he does none of this, right? Now, from what I gather, this woman does work too. And I think if both of you are working, the more division of labor it's going to have to be. The more splitting up of what you have to do around the house is going to have to happen. Now, this is an interesting thing because it is a new way of thinking. I'm going to use my own family as an example. My grandmother, my dad's mother, I've always said she was a broad. Smoked unfiltered cigarettes, drank Jenny Cream Ale. She could outdrive you and outscore you on a golf course. She was like one of them kind of ladies, right? But she worked and took care of her husband. So when she would come to my house and my dad on Saturday night was in the basement ironing his shirt for the church service in the morning, that drove Grandma Joe crazy. And she would flat out look my mother in the face and tell her, "What kind of wife are you? My son is taking care of himself? Handle your house." And I remember thinking to my grandma, like, "Damn, lady, shut up. That's my mom. Shut up." And I love my grandma. I loved her. Different way of thinking. This is different. My grandmother wasn't a stay-at-home wife. She worked for the phone company, as a matter of fact. And she viewed it as, no, I still come home and do that. Now, I would have to admit my mom took care of a lot of the stuff in the house, although my dad worked for himself. So I was with my dad a lot when I was a kid, like a lot when I was a kid. The older I got, you know what I mean, not so much, but like when I was real little, my mom worked 2 jobs, my dad worked for himself, so I was with my dad a ton. But my grandmother used to talk down to my mother all the time for my dad having to do stuff in his house. And Grandma Joe would be like, I don't want to hear it, Sue. In my generation, we had to work and we had to take care of our men. What the hell happened to you ladies? And I remember thinking, like, this is nuts. Good luck trying to whip her out that kind of mentality these days. And it's interesting, right? Because people will have strong opinions on this. That if a man has to help it all around the house, he's a sissy. Look at Soy Boy! Look at Soy Boy! Right? That's what everybody always says. This is what I find interesting. That same guy who's like, look at Soy Boy! Look at him! Soy boobies coming off his chest! Right? That guy. Right? If that guy's daughter married a guy who laid around, took advantage of her like that, he'd be over there in the F-250 looking to beat that dude's ass. Without realizing, your wife is somebody's daughter. Right? It's like, it's kind of one of those things. And yet, that same guy is one of those guys like, man's job, take care of his lady. Okay, well, what does that mean? Just beating up the dude who happened to glance her direction as you were walking through the restaurant? Because let me tell you, that's not what your wife thinks is taking care of her, right? I would imagine not. Some of those things exist, they're out there. But that's not what that is. Isn't taking care of your woman part of being a man? Isn't providing for your woman part of being a man? I'd like to think so. I don't think providing's just money. Here, I made it, you pay that. I don't think that sounds crazy to me. Again, I want to have more information on what's going on, how to cook, how to maintain the bills, how to clean this, how to do that, because I like being able to go, I take that argument out your deck, girl. Good luck. I'll tell you what, mouth off. Tell me what it is you do. Tell me. List it for me. I like being able to combat that. I like that. And I like being able to kind of do things on my own. Am I respectful of when they get done for me? Sure. No, not every time. I'm human. I make mistakes too. But you'll watch all these alpha male influencers, you know, Liver King and all this. God gave your hands, rip off the cow's face with your fists and chew it straight. And like all these idiots. And somehow they think like the worse you treat your woman, the more manly you are. Let me just tell you, man, you keep going home and treating that lady like she's your own personal maid and cook. That's when you're at work, she's sleeping with your best friend, Holmes.
He's a bad influence. But nobody is stupid enough to take him seriously. The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
330-450-7625 to send the studio a text. You can use that number around 8:45 to win your way into Bush as well. I have long been a marijuana proponent. I believe in marijuana legalization, and I understand that not everybody who listens daily shares that opinion. We have had plenty of discussions, maybe even arguments throughout the years on it. But one of the things I've done because of how much I've screamed about, that I don't think a whole lot of negativity is coming down the road about marijuana, that I felt like it's probably my responsibility to be honest about some of the downsides that I was And if I see a story that's a little negative about marijuana, that we should maybe highlight that from this very room, right? I've said about, one of the things I was honest about is like anybody who's telling you with the passage of legal recreational marijuana that you're not going to smell it in more places in public is lying to you. You will be. Absolutely you will be. But Stansbury, there's laws. Yeah, I know. There's a speed limit too. How fast did you drive to work this morning? Thank you. Hey, there's laws about how much distance you're supposed to keep between you and the car in front of you. Not only are you not doing it, somebody tell me what it is. So much for laws, right? Hey, murder's illegal. Got a lot of that. You know what I mean? So, come on. You are definitely going to be dealing with this in some more places. Now, maybe not as much as I think because of the edibles and because of the vaping of the marijuana. Now, it's not just traditional flower pot that you have to deal with. Okay, fair enough. So maybe I'll be proven wrong on that one. I do have a story out of California. That place with its head on its shoulders, just doing a bang-up job at everything right now. There's a story coming out of California about a woman. I was going to call her a young woman, but she's 33, and I don't think that's that young. Bryn Spesher, I think. Yeah, we'll go with that. Apparently, she had stabbed a man she was dating. I paused there because I wanted to make sure I read this right, and I have. 100 times Bryn had stabbed this man. And you're thinking right now, criminal, lock that woman up and throw away the key. That is because you're intelligent, which is why you are here this morning. Because that's what should happen to somebody who takes a knife, stabs another person 100 times. Can I get some knife control up in here? Can I get a little knife control up in here? But stabbed a guy 100 times, and she's not going to prison. And marijuana is the reason why. This is ridiculous. She was given 100 hours of community service. So first, the community service is egregious enough. Like, what? Are you kidding me? Way to go, California. Another one of your citizens you refuse to protect. More people you refuse to show we care about you. Good luck. Way to go. Bang up job. 100 hours is what they get. An hour per every stab? A little too on the nose, Judge. Little too on the nose. I'll just make it 100 and 100 because I can barely count to 100 and I'm an absolute dope. So I'm going to give this lady 100 hours community service. Look at me. Aren't I doing such a good job for my community? Dope. Moron. That person should be dragged behind cars, the judge and her. I'll tell you what. Give me a 2 for 1. They ruled, however, that she was not in her full capacities because she was suffering from, wait for it, a cannabis-induced psychosis. She claims she suffered that after taking 2 hits off of the man's bong. Where was his weed-induced psychosis?